if all the trees of the world were pens and oceans were converted into inks, you would still not be able to finish writing about the glory of God. Okay. So, and then it also says that the Quran contains everything. There's nothing that it leaves out. So how is it possible? This tiny little book is not very big. Maybe this is even bigger than the Quran, maybe, in terms of number of words.
It's a good field to talk about if you think that, and Quran tell that all the trees become pens and all the ocean become ink, cannot tell the things about the glory of God, and it gives me some question, and just two important questions for every believer is that how we can find our way among this line of things that you know that they are just hinting about God, yeah. In every way, in every case, and in every point of views, they are trying to tell some things about God,
right?
And how these people of new life, new age of the technology, and its effect on people knowing and their question, and they try to find some way to not depend on the some things ultra the materials,
Sorry?
the things that is being ultra
beyond. Do you mean beyond?
Yeah, over than the material. They try to find their way on a land. There is not anything in the sky for them.
Right.
Most of them. I think it's not a bad idea in this confusing situation that you tell that there is a lots of way to telling the story about God. All the ocean become ink and all the trees become pen. Cannot written all the things about the glory of God.
Right.
How people can find their way?
Well, there are some basic things that are common. I mean, you and I are very different. I've never seen you in my whole life. You've never seen me probably in your whole life. I've never seen you. But we think there is something in common. Somehow we can relate. We are confident about that. So there must be something out there. In spite of all the diversity, there is a commonality. There is a commonality. Otherwise, we couldn't possibly understand the world. Or couldn't make sense. In the midst of this great diversity, we couldn't make sense unless there was something that was binding us. And that which is binding us is God. I mean, we can give it whatever name you want to. Call it reality, the truth. And that's the name of God. Al-Haq. How do we know who God is? The Quran tells us. God is the forgiving, the wise, the beneficent, the merciful, the Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Ghafur. There are about 99. These are not just David, John. These are not that kind of name. These are qualities of God. Okay, so we know Him by this, but one of the very fundamental names is He's the truth, the reality, Al-Haq. So there is a reality.
How it's work?
Huh?
How it's work?
And you have an idea of how that reality works in your everyday life. We have a given, each one of us, deep down, have a sense of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. And the Quran says that actually. What the revelations do is not just the Quran, the other revelations also. It helps us to recognize that deep down, that our, whether you call it conscience or whatever, tells us. And the Islamic terms for that deep down reality is fitra. Have you heard of this?
It is what?
Fitra.
Fitrat. Yeah.
Fitra. We are made, God says in the Quran, that human beings are made with the fitra. Fitra means the primordial nature, which always knows God. Or you can say reality. God, I'm just using the word God. You can say it knows the truth. So the Quran conveys another message that in the form of a parable. Parable. Do you understand parable?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
like a story, like a symbolic
way.
Yeah. Of course, people can take it literally or symbolically. It doesn't matter, But there is an important teaching here that before human beings came to the earth, God called all the souls, all the progeny of Adam, the prophet Adam, the first human being, and asked them, Alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And we all said, in that pre-creation state, in our original form, in the form of our fitra, our original primordial nature, we all said yes. So the point is, that deep down we have what the story is trying to convey, the deep down we have a recognition that we ourselves are not our creators. And there is a creator that when this veil, this body and the world, it places a veil between reality and our perception of it. So before coming into this world of forms, we had a clear perception of what reality we came out of. This is how I take it. And we said yes. So the point that the Quran is trying to make is that deep down we have a awareness. We may be forgetting in the midst of the world, like you said, all this confusion, this, that, which way do we go? But deep down, we have an awareness, first of all, that I didn't create myself. Did you create yourself? What do you think? You have any recollection? No. If you didn't, a rational way of thinking, since modern man prides himself over the ability to think rationally, a rational thought would direct us to think there must be something beyond from which this came. And the beyond must be more intelligent than you are. Right? At least equal or more. Must be more, actually. So there is something. And there is a oneness of reality, because unless there was oneness, you couldn't make sense of anything. If there was two realities, two order of reality, it would be impossible to make sense of the world, to connect the different dots, or find happiness or love or anything. I wouldn't know how to talk to you. We have absolutely nothing in common. We never met each other. You see what I mean? So what I'm saying is, deep down, whether you call it Islam, the Quran, or the Bible, or the Gita, or whatever, deep down there is a reality that binds it all, and it must be one. It cannot be 2, 3, 4.
Sorry, you mean that the things that you are talking about, fitra?
I'm kind of talking in philosophical terms.
It means that we have all humanity. We have some try to find a meaning for life, and
right.
It's the reality, it's a haq or truth or something like that. That it's our try to find our way, and it should be a truth. It should be work for all kind of humanity. But we have some region and some people that I don't know. Maybe we don't know a lot about them. They are like some examples that you can see that other side of the human, that they didn't have lots of try. They don't have ritual ceremonies, because when we feel that something it's out of these materials, out of these words working, and we try to find way to them with some ritual ceremonies.
You mean they did not have, or they did have?
They didn't have some.
Okay.
They don't have.
Who are these people?
Like, for example, Eskimos.
Huh?
They are people.
How do you know they don't have any rituals?
I don't know a lot about them.
They all do. I mean, let's say the American Indians or the Australians.
They have God.
Yes, I'm sure there is. I don't know of any tribe in the old days. You see, modern world is a different thing.
Yeah.
In the modern world, you'll find pockets of people who have no faith in anything beyond. But you cannot find. I don't know of any pre-modern community, whether it's Eskimos or American Indians or Australians, who didn't have a faith in something beyond the material world.
Yeah, I think if you have a ritual, at least it is for this God, unity of God, or whatever, plenty of gods.
Yeah, you
so
can.
You're in search of. You're in search of. For me, it's more maybe interesting question is for how society makes their unity in a just born human, because there is plenty of examples when the child who extracted from society and grows up absolutely separated, yes, without any touch, or they grow up in animal society among dogs, yes, they don't have these features.
Which features?
Features of
Rituals?
a human. Even not about
No.
rituals. They don't have rules of human, you know, and they don't have understanding of morality in our way, because they have absolutely different dimension. They live in animal truthness.
I am not sure. I mean, if you, let's say you might be affected. Let's say you grew up with wolves. I think there are some cases where these things happen, but let's say you grow up with wolves. Even the animals, they express love for each other, they care about each other, but I'm not sure exactly how much a human being really forgets his own nature. But some things I'm sure are compromised because he has to survive in the law of the jungle. But I don't have, we have stories, but actual phenomena of people growing up with animals and how their morality might be different, I'm not sure. Of course, there are conventions, but I think it is not possible that a human being grows up without questioning, who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? What's the meaning of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Whether it's you grow up with animals or whatever, and they might even have a language, we don't know. I mean, and according to Islam, they all have languages, I mean, no animal is without a language. And, according to the Quran, the Sulaiman, Prophet Solomon, spoke to animals and birds. So we don't know. We are making a lot of guesses.
I can tell this question from other side, that this is, maybe we were more affected about the education that the society and family during the growing up, from the childhood, from infant time to the
Right.
being adult. We are affected by the society from our family and all the lessons that it's come from the family. Maybe sometimes, and it is not maybe the origins, and it is not how we can separate to understand that this is coming from our fitrat, or coming from our education system, family, society, school, and everything.
Let me say it this way. Every tradition, and I have studied all the major religions. In every religion, deep down, there is an understanding that the truth or God is one. Whether it is Zoroastrian or Hindu or Buddhist, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, American Indian, Australians, ultimately reality is one. Even though, let's say in Hinduism, not everybody is into one reality, one God, etc. They worship many gods, but there is a possibility, there is an option, and there is a recognition that that is ultimately true, one. In Christianity, Trinity is not exactly what we understand as God as one, but ultimately Christians say that they believe in one God. Okay. In Judaism, there's almost no difference between what we believe and they believe in terms of what God is like. So, and these major traditions, including the American Indians and others, somehow they all come down to this one thing, that the reality is one. Now, I want to connect it to what Rumi and Islam and talks about, because I'm supposed to be talking about Rumi's teachings, not have a completely separate distraction.
I think it's not different that we are talking about the field.
Yes, but I want to make it visibly so.
Surely.
Because this is what I'm supposed to do here. Yeah. I'm supposed to be talking about Rumi and
how Rumi think about the
yes. So what Rumi thinks about, in his own words, is not anything more than what the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad thinks about. And he says so. There is one particular verse, I think it's in the Diwan Shams Tabrizi, one of his major collections, where he says, I'm a servant of the Quran, and like a speck of dust on the path of Muhammad, the chosen. If anybody says otherwise, they're mistaken. That's basically what he says. Now, in this respect, about reality or truth being one, the Quran tells us that God has sent his messengers. Muhammad we understand as a messenger of God. God has sent his messengers to every nation on earth, to every nation, and in the language of the people of those nations, and with the same message. And that same message, God tells us, is Tawheed, which we say, La ilaha illallah, God is one, truth is one, reality is one. Okay? So that is from a Rumi's point of view, from an Islamic point of view, and I actually don't find any difference between what Rumi says and what the Quran says. Really, I don't find any difference, or what Prophet Muhammad said. If there are differences, that's the differences between people's interpretation. And Islam is not really, and should not be, according to how an average Muslim may think or act. It must be based on the Quran and the sayings and the deeds of the Prophet, and as understood by the best of Muslims, by the most respected ones. Not like, let's say, ISIS. Yep. Or whatever, Taliban, or whatever, But let's say if we look at Imam Ghazali, or Rumi. Exactly, okay, but these are the most respected figures in the Islamic tradition at large. There are a number of them. Rumi is one of them. So, I would say maybe there are 1,000 very respected figures. We can go into what they had to say on what Islam teaches, and the verses teaches. And we basically find, something that is extremely admirable, something that is logical. It agrees with our sense of what is decent, and it seems to show a path that leads to, you might say, felicity, the happiness, wholesomeness, the most decent human being, if we follow. Now, because we are talking about different traditions, I want to talk about the Quranic view of the diversity of religions. Okay, at least that's easy to talk about, more than just any people thinking and what they're saying, and can we relate it to each other or to Islam. If we think of diversity of religious traditions, there are particular verses in the Quran. The surah means a chapter in the Quran. Second surah, 62 ayat, says, those who believe means the Quran and the Prophet, and the Jews and the Christians, and any who believe in God and do righteous deeds, they have nothing to fear, and they will be rewarded by their Lord. This is a very explicit claim. I have not seen in any other religious scriptures in the world that these diverse religions that we know of, let's say what the Arabs knew at that time, but Judaism, Christianity, and Islam of the Prophet. Then the ayat goes further. Ayat means the verse goes further and says, and any who believe in God, you see, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and any who believe in God and do righteous deeds, they have nothing to fear. So this is remarkable. At least this is what the Quran says. This is not Rumi's interpretation. The question is, how do we make sense of it? There are many Muslims who say, oh, no, after Islam comes, all the others are, batil, like they're cancelled. But that doesn't actually make sense, because there are numerous other supportive verses that seems to point at the same direction. Okay, and then it also criticizes Christianity, especially, because Judaism, we don't really have too much differences. In terms of who God is, there is no difference between what Judaism says and what Islam says. So there is not a dispute. There is a dispute with Jewish people, but not Judaism. And when it comes to Christianity, the Quran says, don't say Trinity. God is one. He has no son, and so forth. You know this. So now Trinity is not three gods, according to Christians. But there was a tendency within Christian tradition, because there are many, many different sects among Christians. I think the Jacobites were one group. And there may have been another to whom three could be, three into one, but not exactly one, but Jesus was God. Jesus was treated as God. There was a sense of three, not exactly one, the way most mainstream Christians like to think. But what the Quran says is very interesting. Quran says, do not exaggerate in your religion, addressing the Christians. Tell the people of the book not to exaggerate. Do not say three. It will be better for you. It doesn't say it's 100% absolutely wrong. It says it will be better for you if you don't say three. Okay? So what I see here is that there is a warning against a tendency, not necessarily that that's exactly what Christians believe, because mainstream Christians never did that exactly. Never thought that Jesus is one and this God is another and then the Holy Ghost is another. But nevertheless, even the way the Trinity is understood by Christians, that ultimately, let's say, I've heard Catholics especially, and maybe Protestants as well, that Father and Son existed eternally. It's not like ultimately there is one, and from that comes the Son. But no, the Father and Son existed eternally. And that doesn't quite match with what we understand as Tawheed. Mm-hmm. Tawheed is absolute oneness from which everything else comes. Okay. Now, if there is that clear difference, okay, we cannot accept Trinity, even in its more noble form, then how is it that this verse in 262, and also it is in another surah, in 569, says exactly the same thing, it's repeated. And there are other verses that points in that direction, 548, 2267, and many others actually. The reason I'm talking about it is I'm also writing a paper on this subject. No, the question is, our ultimate criterion in Islam is belief in the oneness of God. The whole of Islam stands on that foundation. Without Tawheed, without that oneness of God, and as I said, God you can understand as reality, or you can understand as a person, whatever level of understanding you are at. So, La ilaha illallah, that Tawheed, that understanding of there is nothing but God, absolute oneness. If there is any compromise with that, the Quran says God will forgive all sins except sin of shirk, associating anybody with God.
Sorry, before going more forward, I want to ask about the basic question. Why we need religious?
Why do we need religion?
We can yeah.
Well, it depends on what you want to be. If you think that life in this world, eating, sleeping is enough for you, then it's enough.
No, it's not. No, why do we need to accept some religious? You can have your manner. You can believe in God. Yep. You can believe there is a unity of God. You feel it by your fitrat, as you tell. And why do we need to accept a manner to our life as a religious Christianity, Judaism, or some? Because
I think in most cases, again, I'm giving you my opinion of what I understand, having studied various books on this subject. Not exactly this question. Religions, the fruit of religions, okay, has been saintly figures.
Sorry?
Saintly figures. Let's say Mevlana or Rumi, or in Christian tradition also there are saintly figures. Can you point out a saintly personage that doesn't belong to a religious tradition, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or Islam? Can you point out a saintly figure who haven't traveled a religious path? And because these individuals, now if you deny them that, oh, they didn't exist, they don't exist, I don't believe such individuals existed or exist now, then, I don't know what to say, but historically it seems there have been saints within Christianity, saints among Jewish people, saints among Islam, about Hindus, about Buddhists. They still, for the people at large, not some secular individuals in Europe and America, and modern cities, but people at large, I mean, the great majority of human beings, still these saintly figures, if not the founders of the religions, happen to be the models of good behavior, of noble character. Even if you go into your Persian tradition. Mm-hmm. So these people have traveled, all of them. I don't know of a single one that didn't come through some religious path. Okay. Now religions are like highways. They're there. It's like wheels. The wheels are there. You don't have to recreate a wheel. So there are highways. You can travel on these highways and benefit in this life, because our lives are short. Not too long. I just turned 55. Mm-hmm. Life is short. It's not too long ago when I was 28, 29, wherever I went to any gatherings in New York, I remember I was thinking, oh my God, I'm one of the youngest ones here. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, another 20-something years passed. And I was seeking meaning. I studied different traditions. But time passed. Did I really mature that much? Maybe, maybe not, I'm not sure.
But if you want to think about the time as we knew it, mm-hmm. and Maulana said that چون ز ساعت ساعتی بیرون شوی. If you're going out from the time.
Sorry, I'm not.
From Maulana, he said in Mathnawi. چون ز ساعت ساعتی بیرون شوی, or something like that.
But what is the meaning?
It means that if you are going out of the time, mm-hmm. time is not the measurement for them. For mm-hmm. such a person like Rumi, mm-hmm. it doesn't think about the time mm-hmm. as a thing that we should think that I'm young at this time. If you think about the truth mm-hmm. is, truth is not dependent on a time. You think mm-hmm. that our life is limited. Mm-hmm. We are at the most we live 1 century, not more.
Much less
most.
Generally.
So if you be too optimistic,
right?
And but I think that we should not think about life.
No, the reason I'm saying is my intention is probably not the same as what you're saying.
I'm not agree with the highway. The highway. I agree with the question. Mm-hmm. It's my idea. Uh-huh. I didn't study any about philosophy, but I had my question, as you said, like all humanity. I'm not agree with the highway as a highway. You should accept, because it is the easiest way. Mm-hmm. It's clear. Highway is easiest way you can go to the goal, maybe.
No, but the thing is, when you want to follow the highway, there are different ways people go. Mm-hmm. Everybody will not travel with same ease or expertise as Rumi did. Mm-hmm. Or let's say Hafiz al-Shirazi and other people did. Okay, mm-hmm. We are all trying to find our own way of adjusting to that, but there is a way given. Okay, and it has produced most beautiful examples of human beings. Mm-hmm. If you can show me some other human example, extraordinary human example, that the world at large recognizes and reveres. Mm-hmm. Then, logically, I would like to find out, who is this? How did they get there? But all I see in human tradition, in different cultures, whether it's Taoist or Buddhist or Islam or Judaism, these religious traditions. And when we talk about traditions, until modern times, these are all religion-based traditions. I don't see a single individual in modern times, secular individuals, not inspired by religion in one way or another, who are models for the world at large to imitate. Do you see what I mean? I mean, how do we know what is noble, what is not noble? We have some sense, but we also get ideas from many different sources. How do I know what is right, what is wrong, how to behave? Now, these models, even if you don't care for religions, these models could be our examples, but all these models follow one or other religious path. Even in modern times, I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I would like to ask, surely.
You want to?
I had a different question, so I'm sorry that.
No, you can ask.
For me, always arriving question about the God is one, and all what is God, and why I cannot say that I'm God.
Oh, well, deep down, you can say it, but the thing is, you also have a lot of other ideas. So you might be confusing your ego with what God is. You see? So there is I know this, I'm very aware of this teaching, and in a number of traditions, there is even meditation, think of you as God, nothing but God. I'm aware of this, but I realized eventually, in my youth, I was thinking about these things. I think this is highly problematic because we all have plenty of ego. And before this ego is sufficiently removed, and probably seriously removed, it can take you on a very dangerous direction. And there are spiritual egos. There are many masters in various traditions, lots of avatars in Hinduism. At any time, you might find 10 avatars in India, but eventually, at some level, you go and see they have their big egos, and they have their ego desires and these limitations and that limitations. In this world of form, it's very difficult to be without egos. And so, I am nothing, God is everything is a better meditation than I am God, I think. Even though ultimately that's what Islam teaches in a way. La ilaha illallah. One meaning is there is no other, first meaning is there is nothing to rely on but God. Okay, nothing to rely on but God. We say in Islam, traditionally the understanding is that means God is one. Okay, but you can also understand that there is no reality, nothing to rely on but God. So God is the only reality. Okay, so you don't exist, only God exists, right? But at the same time, you know that you're not God. You know it. You want to believe I'm God,
So
but you know you're not.
Where's the line? Why? This is a question.
Why what?
Yes, if God
If you
is
think you
all,
are God, how do you know what is God and what is you? I mean, you have all these other thoughts. Before you try to get rid of these thoughts, you say you're God, then what is the result? You're getting mixed up with, this feeling of, oh, I'm God, so what I desire is God's desire. There can be a confusion.
where is separation?
What?
Where is this separation?
Where is the separation?
Yeah, between the unity and separate this.
The separation
Quantity.
itself is separate. There is no separation actually. There is no veil between God and us, except that we have our own veils. We think of ourselves, see ourselves, and have all these desires and limited visions. Because we have limited visions, it keeps us separate. You don't see myself as yourself, do you?
I'm trying.
Oh, well, you can try. That's a good attempt. But anyway, what religion provides is a safer way that your ego doesn't take over. So in Islam, we have 5 times prayer. Not every Muslim is able to do that, but we are advised to do that. And Sufis, Mevlana, it's not that they reject the regular path of Islam, but they deal with what I understand is with the deeper understanding of things. Mevlana loved prayer. Rumi, I'm talking about Rumi. Loved prayer, loved fasting, loved the regular Islamic path, but he did it at a level far deeper than what ordinary people do. And I was reading yesterday a hadith, a saying of the Prophet, when somebody asked, Ya Rasulallah, means, O Messenger of God, these rules and regulations of Islam is too much for me. Is there something I can do, all the time? And he said, keep your tongue always moist with the remembrance of God. This is beautiful. For a lot of us in modern times, this is the Prophet himself saying this, okay? Keep your tongue moist with the remembrance of God. Means one of his names, Allah, Allah. And this is a fantastic practice, because the mind, like a monkey, is constantly jumping around. And if you understand God to be, the truth, the reality, the beauty, the wisdom, the compassionate, the all-knowing, so forth, by remembering the name, we are like fixing our mind to that reality. And whatever we focus on, this is what the Quran says, this is what Rumi says, and this is what the Prophet said, and every other great teacher said, we become closer and closer to that reality. But I think I am God is a dangerous practice, which it may be good, at a certain level. Let's say in Islamic tradition, Mansur al-Halaj, we had one great saint who at one point, at a very high level, he said, Ana al-Haq, which means I am the truth, I am the reality. But at the ordinary level, I think it is an ultimate truth, but the practice of that before curing our many wrong habits can be quite dangerous.
Maybe I'm talking not about the practicing, more about the general understanding of this.
You can, that's up to you. But I think religions, given you understand not in a shallow way, provides a safe way for any individual.
Why individual is created this way, that we always have to come back with such attempts to this unity?
Oh, sorry, I don't
Why
understand.
Individual was created.
We are all
like
created. Because why every individual is different? You are asking, is that the question?
More that we are not born like this total understanding of God. Why we have to go this way at all?
Why is the question? Why did God create us?
Why create this way?
Well, I think there is great.
We have to walk. We have to
There is.
do
I mean,
the
I had a question when I was small. I used to ask myself, if heaven is possible, why this world? I think you may be asking the same thing. Why go?
I'm born egoistic.
Ego. Well, it's like a game, I think. And ultimately, I mean, well, the thing is, a child, if a child asks you certain questions, you give an answer that the child can somehow digest. That may not be the answer you really believe in, but at this level, I understand that ultimate mystery, I don't really know. And nobody can say they know. And that God is that ultimate mystery. But at a certain level, we can understand some things. And at this level, I understand that ultimately, it's like my childhood question. If heaven is possible, why this not heaven? Why aren't we born in heaven? Why do we have to go through this? I think there are several answers. I mean, at least what I found satisfactory. And Rumi also said something like this, that through going through the trials and tribulations of this world, we also learn that we are capable of patience and wisdom and so forth. That makes it easier to deal with the world. So these qualities are ultimately our qualities, inherent qualities. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's say I'm sure you are now, whatever old you are, but you're not a child anymore. You learned a lot in your life. And you learn that I can be patient, understanding, compassionate, wise. You sought wisdom here. That's one reason you came here. Oh, there's going to be a discussion of something. You have an interest in wisdom. Otherwise, you would not have come here. No? Yes?
Yes, sure.
So you know that you have certain wisdom. You know that. You have certain compassion. You have certain understanding with which you can handle the world better than when you at some other time in the past. So I think the trials and tribulations are there. This is my understanding, and I have seen Rumi kind of talk like this. So this is what we have earned in life. Let's say I have earned in life certain wisdom and certain ways of knowing how things are, and that helps me at this very moment, or in my life nowadays, to walk through this pretty crazy world with my head more or less sane. Okay. Now, if there was no tribulations, nothing, how do you know that we actually have these qualities? Deep down we are able. So my understanding, in a sense, you are talking about I am God, but my understanding is, in a way, God is helping us to realize that you have it within. And our great Sufi masters have said, Sufism is about qualifying yourselves with the qualities of God, manifesting the qualities of God within in our everyday life. This is what we are struggling for. And we do that through, first of all, doing what God tells us to do and not do what God tells us not to do. And on top of that, we try to remember God with every breath. Because God is the source of wisdom, it keeps our mind fixed on the best qualities. Wisdom, compassion, kindness, generosity, love, truth. Somebody who is not serious about truth, do you like such people who are hypocrites? Do you like? No, why not? Because, hypocrisy is not one of God's qualities. Let's say, in Islamic terms, I would say something. What we love, actually, Rumi says something very wonderful. Everybody loves God, whether it's an atheist or a believer or anything. Because everybody is in love with something or other. You may say, oh, I don't care for any religions, I love my cat. Well, some people say that. No problem. Why do you love the cat? Oh, it is so sweet and wise and cute. Whose qualities are these? From an Islamic point of view, these are God's qualities manifesting through that creature called cat or a horse or the sunset. So when we love the world and things of the world, we are actually in love with God. We don't know. But where we go wrong is when we get fixed to those things of the world. Because those things of the world are transient, are passing, sure. But we are in love with the qualities. Let's say no man says, oh, I love this woman because she's so ugly and cruel and has no understanding. Everybody says, oh, she's so understanding, blah, 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 and she's so beautiful. Okay, but she dies one day. So what do you love about that person? Do you keep loving, you love the memory of how wonderful she was. So you are seeking God, because these are God's qualities. God is the beautiful one. That's another name of God. God is the wise one. God is the generous one. God is the kind one. God is not ISIS, for sure, okay, or fundamentalist anything, okay. And the diversity exists because without this is a very important point. Why?
What's your idea about Sirat al-Mustaqim?
Sirat al-Mustaqim.
What do you think about this? But when you're talking about all religions talking about one way,
right?
Yeah, one way, but. In some believe in Islam that they believe that there is just one way.
I don't think that's what the Quran says. The Quran says, some people, as I told you, Islam is based on what the Quran says, what the Hadith says, not what average Muslim says. Because average Muslim doesn't even know what's in the Quran. Even you do not know. You know some things, but you don't know a whole lot. But I can tell you what the Quran says. The Quran says, if God wished, this is 548, verse 548, also it is repeated in a number of other verses. If God wished, He would have created you as one people. He's telling the prophet, but such is not the case. Okay. To every community, God has sent His law and a way. If God wished, He could have created just one community, but such is not God's way. So it's very interesting. This is like the summary of pluralism in the Quranic perspective. So compete with each other in good works. This is what the Quran says. Do not dispute about differences in your rituals, etc. Compete with each other in good works.
Mm-hmm.
And when you return to Him, He will explain to you these differences. This is, you can go and look, 548, 2267, and there are variations in other places. So the point is, in this world, if we have an innate sense of what is good, bad, like the Quran says again and again, feed the poor, help the those who do not have enough, help the needy, feed the poor. You know this. Do this. These are good works. Help who needs your help. If you can help, don't say, "Oh, why are you in a bad condition? You're bad. You're lazy or whatever." You do something. If you have compassion, do something. Don't just give them a lecture. See, and pray. And why pray? Pray is a wonderful thing against your ego. It's a recognition that you are not in charge. There is something beyond. Don't call Him Allah, call something else. But there is a reality, there is a truth. In Islam we call Allah. You don't want to say Allah, you think that is a problem? Go call something else. The Quran says, call Him the most compassionate, call Him Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. To Him belongs the most beautiful names. By whichever name you call, to Him belong the most beautiful names.